According to the Games Workshop MetaWatch statistics, the Imperial Guard have only a 53% win rate, and yet many of the best players out there have leapt aboard to see how far this train will take them. Nassim Fouchane spent last season playing Tau Empire, much like myself, except he made it as far as the Shadow Round of the Las Vegas Open. Now we find him at the ultimate hurdle of another American supermajor. Welcome to the Adepticon Final. Now, are you ready for an information dump? The terrain is player placed, meaning no two boards will look alike. This board has been set up by the players with several firing lanes bowling their way to each objective, meaning it's going to be very difficult to hold primary and really going to force the two teams into a conflict. For the secondaries, Nassim is taking boots on the ground, inflexible command and retrieve battlefield data, while Arne is taking lay claim, bring it down and grind them down. Nassim, with his choices, can play a passive game and score without interacting with the opponents too much, with boots on the ground offering those options for just having his infantry in table quarters, and alongside the retrieve battlefield data, allowing him to recoup some points without ever touching Arne's forces. Arne is taking 3 very aggressive secondaries, with bring it down and grind them down relying on taking out the opponent's material on the board, while lay claim suggests that Arne thinks he will be the last man standing when the dust settles. Arne opts to start everything on the board, with the Berserkers and Hearthguard each in a land fortress. Nassim puts his troops into reserve to help with boots on the ground and retrieve battlefield data in the later turns, and sticks a unit of Kasrkin in the Chimera. A little sip of tea. So here we see the players deploying, as well as their current score and their maximum potential score, which is there to give an idea of how the game might end should the players choose to do nothing. Now, Nassim is known for being very aggressive, spotting the opponent's weaknesses and exploiting them in the first couple of turns of the game. And the thing with playing aggressive is that when it's done right, it looks easy. But if it really is easy, then how come it's only a couple of players who can do it consistently? Before the game, Arne made it clear that he believes he does have the answer to Nassim's aggression. And in his view, the only solution is to go first. We'll have to see if he has any other tricks in his back pocket, since now that deployment is done, Nassim has won the role for first turn. Nas spots the gap in Arne's defences, using his redeploys on both tanks and a unit of sentinels to really pressure this flank, and force his way through the Votann fortress the hard way. Arne responds to this aggression by attempting to pull back and tighten his defences. Personally, I would have pushed out one of my Pioneer bike units, using the pre-game move to force back the Kasrkin bomb and stand in the way of the Scout Sentinels. Of course, they cannot end that move within 9 of Nassim's Scout Sentinels, so perhaps this was clever deployment on Nassim's part to stop Arne from closing that door in this situation. Just one of the tricks that makes aggressive play work well, and if missed, totally collapse. Nassim's first turn begins, and he starts lining up his guns while pushing the Scout Sentinels forward into the Votann lines. His plan here is to crack open these land fortresses, as they're a large portion of the Votann output, and if he doesn't open them early, he may not get a chance to later once he's suffered losses himself. So, to help with this, he teleports forward his Kasrkin bomb, brings the characters along for their buff support. What Nassim's done here is activate his entire army on this one goal. He's picked a point of attack and he's gone all in. This is where some alpha strikes collapse, when people go in piecemeal. It's war meal or nothing. It's a terrible one. The shooting phase goes about as well as you might expect, with one fortress going down alongside 4 of the Pioneer bikers. Nassim then charges into the surviving Pioneers and tags the land fortress, closing its shooting options next turn. And with that, his turn is over, and he passes it over to Arne. Arne's turn 1 here, and he is not out of guns yet, and he's not even that far down on the material bar. He pushes back, taking the centre of the board while bringing every weapon he has to bear. His aim here is to hit the guard might head on, where he's hoping to high roll and push back this onslaught before it gets another chance to shoot. He does manage to do some good work here, taking down plenty of the Sentinels and the Kassakin. The land fortress even manages to blow its way out of combat, giving its main gun a chance to shoot and one-shot a Lemon Russ. In his own words, this shit fucks. So who's winning? The scoreboard is barely ticking forward yet, but already it feels like Arne is on the back foot. His plan is to fight for material, with Bring It Down and Grind scoring by getting kills as well as lay claim, meaning he really needs to be around at the end of the game. Arne had a game plan, which was to win the roll-off, and after that turn 1, it's starting to look like he may not have a backup plan. Nassim's second turn here, and he brings in some of his infantry to watch the firework display before they retrieve some battlefield data. He unloads his second Kassakin from the Chimera, moves his guns into position, and just opens fires. It's not a very complex board state, he's just pointing and he's shooting. He even shuffles out the mortars from behind the wall to help with the chip damage into the Hearthguard on the center objective. The material bar skyrockets into Nassim's favour while he retakes the board from Arne's push, and after the guns go still, Arne counts the casualties, takes another look at his secondaries, and concedes the game. What a blowout. As mentioned, the terrain placement for this game was always going to force these two players into conflict, which made the first turn roll-off absolutely crucial. This is never something that is healthy for the game, and is a consequence of player-placed terrain as much as it is of Games Workshop's need for bigger and better guns. That being said, and while Nassim may have made it look easy, this was a well-earned victory. He made great use of his Alpha Strike potential, leaping on the opportunity that Arne presented him. But I believe it's the things that we didn't get to see that really separate these two great players. Nassim selected secondary objectives that he could score even if the Votann army started getting ahead on material. While on the other side, Arne selected secondaries that were all about tabling his opponent. The issue with this, as I see it, is that if Arne had gone first, he would have been in a commanding position on the material bar, which would make scoring passive secondary objectives easier in the later game, and it would also have meant that you probably had an edge on the primary. While Arne would certainly have been in a commanding position had he gone first, I don't think the game would have been as clear-cut as the one that we saw, thanks to Nassim's secondary choices. Nassim wins Adepticon, proving himself to be one of the masters of this aggressive guns playstyle. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing how he performs for the rest of this season, given that the winner of last year's Adepticon went on to win the whole of the ITC. Have no doubt that you'll find him here next time he makes it to the top table of another major 40k event. It doesn't mean anything. It's piecemeal.